In this region, we have seen that protecting water catchments is of no interest to the Procuenca project. The technological packages are defined by them. In our case, we had to plant cypress pine, eucalyptus, and patula pine trees. The only option of native trees was the Colombian pine species, but not in the numbers that we wanted. For every 2,000 trees, we planted only 200 were Colombian pine. I say, okay, we are going to use organic fertilizers then, although this was not permitted. The technological package includes chemical fertilizers, and they tell you what product and when it should be applied.
The nogal tree is a species which in my opinion signifies 36 years of loss for a farm, because it's 18 years before the tree can be harvested, and then 18 years more to recover the land again. The growth of the nogal tree absorbs all the water and dries out the soil, and doesn't let other vegetation to grow. I've always said that the peasant farmers are offered poisonous snakes in wrapping paper. In other words, the contracts always include a larger print and a fine print, and the peasants don't know how to read the fine print, which is where the poison is. In Colombia, the peasant farmers are always being deceived.
Let's take a farm with 4 hectares of land dedicated to coffee, banana and other food crops. If these crops are replaced by nogal trees, within 4 years of planting, these trees will have occupied the whole area. There's no space to grow beans or maize. The tree cover doesn't permit any other crops to be grown. Hence, the farms end up being practically mortgaged. In order to pay, the only option is to sell the land, and so we're left with nothing. In the future, our food security is going to suffer, especially since the peasant farmers have traditionally been the ones who produce maize and beans in this region. Large producers aren't interested in maize because it's not a business to them. For them, a business is coffee monoculture.
To have to wait 20 years to attain results from a crop, I think it is too long, because the only thing I'm going to see is poverty, as the plantation doesn't even need farm labor. If only there was an organization that supported organic production, that could help us to be self-sufficient and market our goods in the local city, it would be a great benefit for us, because we will be consuming healthy food and without so many costs.
Yo siempre he dicho que eso no se debería llamar Procuenca sino Promadera.
I always say that this Procuenca project should be better named Pro Timber. I have never seen a real commitment to the river catchment. Of this, I can assure you, based on what happened to our own water source, which was converted into a forest plantation due to Procuenca. The owner of this land works with Procuenca and planted with Procuenca, and although they gave him recommendations on the type of tree he should plant, he never took them into account, and he destroyed a water source. The local community had to take its own stand to defend the catchment. We walked up the river bank and pulled out all the pine trees lying within 15 meters of the river, and then we fenced off the area for protection.
15 metros al lado y lado del cauce, arrancamos todos los pinos que encontramos y cercamos.
When they say they are going to reforest an area, they are lying. They are not reforesting, they are cultivating a species that doesn't belong to us, to the conditions of our ecosystems. And it creates severe impacts on water resources, soil fertility, and especially to biodiversity. We are talking of a monocrop forest plantation, with all the impacts that this system implies. Moreover, the most dramatic effects in terms of cultural impacts. The natural forest is spiritually healing for us. We are talking essentially of its diversity: animals, plants, flowers, birds, reptiles. This great richness of the forest ecosystem. The forest is not a homogeneous structure. It is diverse. All this is going to be lost in order to favor a homogeneous landscape, a cold landscape, which does not belong to our tropical ecosystems.
The project didn't continue here because the funds ran out. The employees they sent to do training and to hand out seeds never returned. Hence, the program had no economic impact in this area. The local people are totally confused. They go and sign the papers, and later I ask them, "How much have you received?" And they reply, "Nothing." I ask them again, "Did you sign the papers?" They have informed us that the Pro Cuenca project will disappear as a project in itself, and that our contracts with the Corporation for the Development of Caldas, the CDC, are going to be transferred to a new institution with private investment. The entity will disappear, and they'll create another. It's going to be a private entity, a society of investors. I'm going to be a co-investor. We're in a dilemma, as I don't know what the terms, what the conditions of our participation will be.
Communities should understand what is really being hidden behind these contracts, which only serve to destroy biodiversity and the equilibrium of our ecosystems.
La biodiversidad y el equilibrio de los ecosistemas.
The world trade system has been converted into a machine of destruction, and unfortunately in this last decade we have seen its greed extended to the scope of biodiversity, to control seeds, food supplies and agriculture, and to convert the environment into merchandise. Carbon credits are being negotiated, being bought and sold on the stock exchange. Meanwhile, the companies continue polluting. And here, in the name of ecology, they implement monocrop forest plantations. It's terrible. These methods of environmental accounting permit the polluter to pay for its damages. We insist they should stop destroying the planet, and not just to pay us for the damages. Environmental goods, they cannot have a price. The first issue is that society has to understand this. There are things in life that cannot be given a price. How much is a glass of water here, and how much in the Sahara? Put a price on it.
I was thinking that would happen here as well. If I was going to fill up my farmland only with trees, I would be in a terrible situation. That happened to my neighbour. He planted those tree plantations. I remember, before, he used to harvest jeep loads of bananas every week, but now, due to the trees that he has planted, all his crops have died. However, me, I'm fascinated by growing banana, coffee and oranges. In every piece of my land, I grow something different. It's like a newborn child. If you don't take care of it, it will fall to the ground. I enjoy and believe in diversity. All this diversity of food, this is my true wealth.